Hey guys, welcome to lesson 116. This is compound interest. A couple of quick things before we start. When you're talking about money you saved in the bank or money you're borrowing or something like that, that's called the principal. In other words, if you have $1,000 in the bank and we're going to earn interest on it, the principal is the amount that interest goes on to. If a bank lends you $10,000 for a, 50 cups of Starbucks coffee, then that's the principal you're borrowing. The interest is what you have to pay. That's the cost of your borrowing that principal. Now, simple interest means like if you, let's say you have $1,000 in your bank account and the bank says, we'll pay you 5% interest per year. Well, 5% of 1,000 is 50. So they go, you're earning $50 this year. Yay, here's your, money. The next year they go, oh, we're going to pay $50 again on your $1,000, and that's simple interest. Compound interest, if you want to think of compound interest, well, you can think of it like a compound fracture, right? Let's say you break your leg, stumbling down the stairs, and the bone sticks through your... Actually, you know what? Forget that whole thing. Forget the whole thing. Compound interest means that it's interest that like compounds on top of each other. So if you had $1,000 in the bank, and the bank says, we're going to pay you 10% interest. Well, then that means that 10% of $1,000 is $100. So at the end of the year, you have $1,000 plus $100, $1,100. And the bank still says to you, we're still going to pay you 10% interest. So what happens is the next year, the bank doesn't pay you 10% of $1,000. It pays you 10% of $1,100. So that'd be $110 for the next year. And then that keeps going and going and going. You can actually do some interesting fun things on a calculator to show you how crazy this turns out to be. We're going to do a couple of examples here today. So let's just look. First one, Samantha deposited $2,000 into an account that pays 10% interest compounded annually. That's just a fancy way of saying she's got $2,000, it pays 10% interest, and it compounds every year. In other words, the interest, and she gets interest on that, then she gets interest on top of that, and on top of that, and on top of that, and the amount grows a lot faster than it would if she were just earning 10% on the $2,000 every year. Because what's happening is she's not only earning 10% on the $2,000, she's earning the 10% interest on top of the interest that she earned every year. It just keeps compounding. Okay, if she doesn't withdraw any money from the account, how much will be in the account after 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years? Okay, let's just do this together. All right, so here she is with her $2,000. 10% of that, of course, is $200. So at the end of that year, she will have $2,200, right? Okay, and after 2 years, well, the bank says, okay, we're starting the second year. You have $2,200. Now we're going to pay you 10% on that, right? So 2% of this would be $220. In other words, you're just dividing by 10. So 2,200 plus 220 is, of course, 2,420, right? And again, now the bank is going, okay, we're starting year 3. This is the amount that is we're going to, figure out 10% of and pay it on that amount. So you can see what's happening faster and faster. Okay, so what happens now is you go, well, 10% of 2,420 is, of course, just 242. And you add those together, you get $2,662. So that's it. That's compound interest. All right, let's do another one. Kayla deposited $2,000 in an account that pays 7% interest compounded annually. Find the amount after 3 years, after 10 years, and after 20 years. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, but it's kind of tedious to sit there and go this over and over and doing this and that. Well, what's happening, if you want to make it a lot easier on yourself, and I'm sure you do, is you can get a calculator if you want to, and just basically you can multiply. Let me show you an example of how to do this. Let's say you've got $2,200, right? We know that. Well, let's just we'll start with 2,000. Oops. Oh, let's start over again. Okay, 2,000. That's not right. Let me clear this out. Okay, clear. All right, so we got $2,000, and we have figured out that we get 10% interest. Well, what you can do is you can multiply this by 1, and you can add 10%. In other words, 0.1, right? If it were 5%, you'd put times 1.05. Or if it was 12%, you'd put 1.12. Now, if you multiply that, 2,000, that's what you start off with. Multiply it by 1.1, boom, that's the end of the first year, right? Okay, now you want to find out the end of the second year? And this calculator, you can just hit the enter again. There's the second year, because it's just repeating the same thing you just did. See on the right side where it says, times 1.1, boom. The third year, Here we go. Now, if you remember, that's the number we got a few minutes ago, right? 2662. So this is what I would do if they ask me these questions like this. We have all these, like the second one. After 3 years, 10 years, don't try to do 20 problems for heaven's sakes, okay? So let's do 7% interest after 3 years. So here's $2,000. We're going to multiply by 1 point. You tell me. 7% interest is 1 point. Don't say 7. It's 0.7, right? Okay, so after 3 years, we'll hit enter. 2,000 times 1.07, that's after 1 year. Enter again, that's after 2 years. Enter again, that's after 3 years. You would round that up to 24.50 and 9 cents. Let's say 8.6 cents. There we go. Okay. Now what you could do is, it says after 10 years, you would just go after 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's $3,934 and let's say 30 cents. Okay, let's go 20 years. Okay, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and you have $7,739.37. Okay, so that is just $2,000. Leave it there 20 years, and the interest just piles up on top of itself. Then you have that much, and there you go. That's compound interest. Okay, so let's try the practice problem. Go ahead and pause it. Let's look at this first. After the third year, 2662 was in the account. It continues to earn 10%. How much money will be after the 10th year and after the 20th year? Okay, so we can actually, in this one, you can actually start, if you want to, by putting 2662 times 10%, 1.1, right? And that will give you the fourth year. And just hit enter, that'll give you the fourth year. Then just hit a bunch of enters after that, and that'll give you up to the 10th year and then the 20th year and so on. So pause it and try to see what you get. Okay, so let's look at this. 2662 times 1.1. Now don't forget, the 1 is the same thing as like 1.1010%, right? Okay, so we've already got the, excuse me, the third year. We want to know how much we have after the 10th year. So look, hit enter, that's the fourth year. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, boom, there it is. All right, let's do it again. So 11 years, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now look at that. That's crazy, isn't it? $2,000. That's 13 grand after, that's 13,400, let's say $55 rather than those. A lot of money. Okay, compound interest is, in fact, I believe I saw where Albert Einstein actually said compound interest was one of the most fascinating mysteries in the universe. So anyway, okay, look at another one. Nelson deposited $2 grand in an account that pays 9% interest. If he doesn't withdraw any money, how much will he have after 3, 10, and 20 years? So pause it and go ahead and figure out those three. Do it exactly the same way. As soon as you're finished, come on back. Okay, here's Nelson. He's got $2,000, right? We're going to multiply by 1.09, right? 9%, okay? Doesn't withdraw any. How much will be after 3 years? Well, let's go. That's 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. There we go. Okay? And they want to know after 10, 4 years, 5 years, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, 47, 34, 73. And 20 years, let's go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. There you go. Okay. That's the mystery of compound interest, and try those practice problems today. We are almost done, folks. I mean, a couple more to go and we are finished. So anyway, good luck on the ones today. Do your best. See you next time. Take care.